let's go ahead and get started. To set the pace of this webinar today is we're going to take a little bit of a trip down memory lane, and we're going to be talking about going way back into the beginning of LifeWave with Energy Enhancer and why all of that early research and everything that was learned about Energy Enhancer still applies today. And it's very important to understand this information relative to X39 and how people can get the best benefits out of both of these products and why you would want to use both of these products together. Still, after more than 20 years now, I still use Energy Enhancer daily, and there's some good reasons for it. So let's get into it. Now, one of the places that I wanted to start today was to talk about Coach Richard Quick. At the beginning of LifeWave, so I started the company in 2002, and we went to market in November of 2004. And that's why this is coming up on our 20th anniversary. So I was privileged to meet Coach Richard Quick at Stanford University. Richard was an amazing human being. He had actually 13 NCAA Division I championships, and he was a 6-time United States Olympic coach. Really extraordinary achievements in his life. And Richard wanted to stay on the cutting edge, but he also wanted to make sure that everything that he was doing was going to support the health and the well-being of his athletes. So he would never take a chance with their health. And Richard used and introduced the LifeWave patches to his swim team in 2003, 2004. And it was in July of 2004 that he had his Stanford women's swim team using the patches at the Olympic trials in Southern California. And that got national attention in the United States. And that was the early impetus for LifeWave taking off. You can see it wasn't too long after that Richard decided to retire, and he came on board LifeWave as our athletic director and helped promote LifeWave for many years. So first, in looking back, I want to just say an enormous thanks to Richard Quick. It was a privilege to know him, and he played such an important role in the beginning of LifeWave. Now, not surprisingly, many athletes around the world began using LifeWave patches, and it was so funny in those early days and so rewarding to see where the patches were going to be showing up. Michael Phelps, he was photographed wearing LifeWave patches. Of course, he never endorsed LifeWave. Phil Pfister, world's strongest man, was after he won the world's strongest man championship, he ripped off his shirt and there were LifeWave patches up on his chest. David Beckham, when he was at Real Madrid, he was at practice, shown photograph wearing LifeWave patches. And by the way, this picture down over here, that was the first time I ever appeared in a newspaper, and I made the front page of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. This was during the Olympic trials in 2004. So why were so many athletes interested in LifeWave? And why were they getting results? and sharing it with others. Well, let's take a look at that. We're going to go back now and look at some of the early studies that we did on the energy patches. Now, one of the studies we're going to talk about was performed by Dr. Tom Budzinski and Dr. Helen Budzinski. And Dr. Tom Budzinski was very well known and extremely well respected in the area of biofeedback. And he did this study using a acuscope to measure tissue conductivity. And the results of this study, I'll scroll down here. And by the way, these studies are all in your back office. If you go to resources, you can find these studies. So this study found that indeed LifeWave patches do serve as a stimulus for the actions for which they were developed. Okay, as a photonic communicator for specific frequencies. And what this ends up doing is, as you'll read the study, is it improves the flow of energy through the body. Okay, so this is an important finding because it means that when you wear the energy patches, it'll improve tissue conductivity, which can be applied to pain relief, and it's going to improve the flow of energy through the meridians. So this is going to be important for overall health, and as well as the health of the nervous system, and of course, obviously, in athletic performance. So anyone can benefit. Now we're going to skip ahead to the study that was done by Dr. Homer Nazarian, a biomedical engineer at the University of Texas in El Paso. And we've actually done quite a few clinical studies over the years using heart rate variability as a diagnostic technique. And what was interesting here, and by the way, heart rate variability is a measure of the ratio of muscle contractions in the four chambers of the heart. So if there's any irregularities with the heart, that will show up in heart rate variability. So what's interesting here is that the results demonstrate that LifeWave energy patches have significant and clearly distinguishable effects important for HRV. And again, you can read through the study. But this is showing through an entirely different diagnostic technique that when the patches are applied to the body, it has a beneficial effect on the muscle contractions and the health of the heart. This was a separate study, again, done by Dr. Tom Budzinski and Alan Budzinski, but also Dr. Carl Merritt, who's a very well-known medical doctor, biomedical engineer. And in this study done, it was double-blind, placebo-controlled. And again, conclusion, these results suggested that the energy patches appear to act on the autonomic cardiovascular factors influencing heart rate variability. And some of the conclusions that they reach in this study are extremely interesting in terms of the patch's use for managing stress. So this leads to a question then. How are the patches producing these really diverse effects? As many of you will remember, the patches were originally designed to improve athletic performance, and to do this by increasing fat burning. Of course, we get more energy from burning fat than we do from burning carbohydrates. So we did a study with Dr. Frank Schallenberger. Many of you may recognize his name. He is an expert on alternative cancer therapies, and he is the world expert, one of the world authorities on ozone therapy, which I often recommend. So I had met Dr. Schallenberger at a trade show. I asked him, since he was doing metabolic testing, could we hire him to do a clinical study, which he agreed to do. He didn't think that the patches would work, but application of LifeWave Energy Enhancer patches produced a significant increase in maximum aerobic ATP, maximum ATP from fatty acid metabolism. So LifeWave Energy Enhancer patches significant metabolic effects, which confirm the manufacturer's claim. So here we have a diagnostic technique that's going to show how the patches work biochemically. And we have these other studies which are showing how the patches work bioelectrically. So these are very valuable pieces of information to help us understand not only how the patches are working, but what the potential of the technology is. So let's go into this now in a little bit more detail. And where we want to start with this is the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. It's the engine of the cell. And it's where our body is going to convert fats and carbohydrates over into energy and make the universal molecule of energy, ATP. And here is a look at the mitochondria inside your cells. One thing I might recommend is going to this webpage, because they have a very nice animation of the mitochondria and its function. And you can see here, it's at the National Human Genome Research Institute. But the important thing here is that we're identifying that the patches increase ATP production, and this is done in the mitochondria. Okay, let's understand this down another level. Now, what is ATP? There's first a precursor molecule called ADP, adenosine diphosphate, and then ATP is adenosine triphosphate. We're not going to get too burdened down with biochemistry here, so you don't have to stress about that. What's important to know is that your body basically extracts electrons from the food you eat and uses those electrons to turn ADP into ATP, so that ATP can share the electrons with other reactions in the body. So here, ATP is formed through the process of cellular respiration in the mitochondria of the cell. And this can be done through aerobic respiration, which requires oxygen and so forth. So why is this all important? Because if we have a technology that can increase ATP, we have something that can mitigate the effects of aging. As we age, our body decreases its production of ATP. So we can reverse that and we can increase ATP production. Now we have found a way to defeat one of the problems that human beings face in aging. Question is, how are the patches really doing this? Because if we can understand this secret, it opens up an entire universe of possibilities. So let's go down another level and look at this again. So in order to understand this, how does the mitochondria make ATP? How are we converting our food to ATP? And where do the LifeWave patches fit in? Both Energy Enhancer and X39. We want to look at something called the electron transport chain. And again, if you simply want to Google this, you can find any number of different good sources on the internet for this. But you'll come up with a diagram on the electron transport chain, and you'll see that it's broken down into several different stages. And by the time we get to the end, we get ATP. So here we get our ADP converting over to ATP. In the very end of the chain at stage 4, or phase 4, we have this molecule here called cytochrome C oxidase. One thing interesting is that cytochrome C oxidase is a copper compound. Now, of course, we recommend people take a copper supplement to help support their body's levels of GHKCU and AHKCU. We also recommend taking copper supplements because it will act as an antiviral in the body. It's important for suppressing bacterial infections. So, but cytochrome C oxidase contains copper. So we need copper to support energy production in the body. Very important. Something else that we'll see at the very beginning of the electron transport chain is NADH and NAD. These are niacin compounds. Now, niacin, of course, is a B vitamin, and one of the things we know about niacin is that it's very important for the health of our cardiovascular system, but niacin also participates in the production of energy in the body. And right now, there is many of you know, there's a tremendous amount of research going on the use of NAD for reversing a part of the aging process. So if we can increase production of NAD, we can increase energy in the cell, and this will reverse part of the age of the body. Okay, so what we've learned about this is that our body is going to go through a multi-stage process for making ATP, and part of this depends on cytochrome C oxidase. Why are we focusing in on this one chemical? Well, let's take a look at it. Here is, by the way, a clinical study on mitochondrial copper metabolism and cytochrome C oxidase. And we can skip down here and we can see the importance of cytochrome C oxidase in the electron transport chain. Okay. I want to skip ahead to, this will give you just another look at it. I'm going to skip ahead to another study, which is getting to the point. And that is that low levels of light have been found to increase production of cytochrome C oxidase and in turn increase production of ATP. So there you go. This is the link that holds everything together. The patches stimulate the skin with light. As the patches stimulate the skin with light, they increase production of cytochrome C oxidase. This increases ATP, which is represented as an improvement in overall mitochondrial energy. And this leads to improvements in athletic performance, the flow of energy through the body, better tissue conductivity, better heart rate variability, better flow of energy through the meridians. Now we have completed the story arc. So this is a very good article showing how we can use light to increase the energy in the mitochondria. And LifeWave patches just happen to do it extremely well because we can just apply the patches to the body and we do not need any type of external power source. Okay, so what are some other things that would be important about this? Since we've been going back in time today, let's talk about Dr. Harry Whelan. Very interesting fellow because he came out of the Department of the Navy and then later on he went to work for NASA. Now, many of you may remember that back 20 years ago, phototherapy and light therapy in the public domain was considered to be quackery. Yet, United States government, through DARPA, Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, was investing millions of dollars in funding Dr. Harry Whelan to look at how light therapy could be used to increase tissue repair. And Dr. Whelan is still doing that research today. So fortunately, this information made it out of the military and made it into the public domain. And now photobiomodulation, phototherapy, light therapy is a well-established science. And we can use this information today to improve our health. So Dr. Whelan's work was very foundational in establishing the credibility of light therapy. Now, another thing that's worth asking is if we can increase ATP production. And we know that a decrease in ATP is associated with aging. So by around the age 50 or so, people start to experience mitochondrial dysfunction, a decline in ATP. And when our energy reserves run low, we can't heal as quickly. We can't make new proteins as quickly. Can't make hormones. We can't recover as quickly after exercise. We get fatigued in the afternoon. All of these things are a result of a decline in ATP. Now, LifeWave has general wellness products, and so we don't make any medical claims. So any of the claims that we're going to talk about now are with active electronic low-level light therapy devices like lamps and lasers. So you can pull up a study like this and you can see how low-level light therapy is being used. Now, I think what I want to do is skip ahead and get right to the punchline because it will grab your attention. This was a surgery-free facelift using low-level light therapy, and you can see it here, 20 minutes a day for 12 weeks. You can go into clinics today, and you will see with many dermatologists, medical doctors that perform cosmetic surgeries, they will have very expensive light therapy devices that you put your entire face into, and you have to go there for regular treatments over a period of months, but the results can speak for themselves. Of course, you can do this much less expensively with our LifeWave patches. Of course, we have Olivita and X39 and so forth. And not only that, our products are improving the health of the body from the inside out. But this is simply to demonstrate that light therapy should not be underestimated. It is extraordinarily powerful. This is to give us a little bit of basis for the very foundation of LifeWave tech. And this is one of the reasons why people should be using the energy enhancer patches with X39. Even though it was still our first product, it still has some extraordinary benefits, shouldn't be underestimated. For people that engage in athletic activity, they're really going to see a benefit with the energy patches. But it's important to understand that as people age, the systems in the body, the communication systems begin to break down. So if you can use a technology to improve the flow of energy through the body, you're going to be improving the communications, and you're going to be improving the way in which people age. So this, on the one hand, is definitely has short-term athletic benefits, but in the long term, definitely has benefits relative to how people age.